What's up, guys? Bob the Gamer here, coming at you with some more Edison content. Today we're going to be going over the deck lists for the top 8 at the Edison NAWCQ at NATS 2024. So as you can see on the screen here, this is first place. I have the rankings over here. This one was, I apologize if I mispronounced it, Bronte, Alexandre, Dover. I'm not even going to butcher your last name, man. I'm sorry. But he played this cool frog. It's like a frog synchro Fishborg monarch deck. They call it frog synchro in the top 8, as you'll see in the thumbnail. But really, this is his deck list. I've seen this deck played before. It was based off of, I believe, Frog Slicer's list. This topped or won something in Europe, I believe. Possibly the European Nats or Nat style event. But yeah, this version's a little different. I believe the European style one had like 3 Death Frog, 3 Fishborg. I think it had 3 Salvage as well. Don't quote me on that. But this is the deck that took everything. This won. As you can see, it's got like the same ratios for Monarchs as like Frog Heroes does. You know, Fraser Smith plays the 3 and the 1. It's got the 4 discard traps, which is cool. Yeah, this deck is crazy. It can make Colossal Armory Arm really easy and just kind of kill you out of nowhere. Sideboard's interesting. I know he talked about it a little bit. I know he said that sometimes he brings these against Blackwings and he brings them in against Glads. It's Frog deck, so it's obviously going to play Vanities. I know he plays these against Blackwings. He's got the Spiritual Water art. I'm wondering if we're going to see more of this going forward, just for the Treeborn discard. Kind of similar how they do Econ, but Econ obviously can't be set when you do that. But if you've got a Treeborn on field or something, it's pretty good. And you just recycle it and get it back next turn. So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty crazy. Interested to play something similar to this. But yeah, that is number 1. Bronte took it all. Congratulations, sir, on first place at Nats. We'll go over second place here. This is a hybrid Blackwing by Hector, HT19, I believe. I'll have a link to his channel in the description. But yeah, this is a very interesting ratio. He just got it to go with 2 Bora, that's becoming pretty popular. Same with 2 Blizzard. No MST in the main. That's something that he also did at his RBET list, I believe. So just the 2 sweepers for back row, along with the Icarus, obviously. Main deck Devi, 4 discard traps, 2 Greffer, no Rhoda, and only 2 Vayu. So pretty interesting there. I'm seeing a lot more Blackwings going to skill drain in the side as well, which is interesting. I suppose it's because frogs are becoming more popular, if I had to guess. But yeah, nothing really to say here. Just a good, solid Blackwing list. Hector is one of the best Blackwing players in the format, so that's him. But yeah, this is the second place list. We're going to third place here. This is Vayu Turbo. I believe this gentleman is a part of the Chicago scene. But yeah, he's pretty standard for Vayu Turbo. He's got the 1 hamster charge ratio figured out. He's going with the double hamsters and not the 1 charge. No charge in this build. Double Oppression. I'm seeing more Vayu players move towards this route. Double Oppression's pretty interesting. They're just cutting the Chaos Sorcerer, cutting the sometimes cutting the Reaper, as it appears he did, and just going forward with the Double Oppression, just saying some decks that lose to this just lose. I know in the video he commented that Solemn was in place so he could keep kind of his floodgates alive, i.e. the Oppression. But yeah, pretty cool list. Triple Armwing. I think he actually played Red Dragon, but he got roasted for not playing the 3rd Armwing, and he said it did come up. So moving more towards the triple Armwing for Vayu to become pretty standard. Congratulations to Richard. Fourth place, which unfortunately, you know, they didn't get one of the big substitute cards. Gladiator Beast. I thought this was one of the more interesting lists. 2 book, 2 econ, and 2 shrink. Very interesting ratios here. As long as he's running 2 respite. Also something worth noting, no Secutor in this build at all. There's just a straight up lack of Secutor, which I thought was pretty interesting. But maybe he didn't need it. Obviously he didn't, he got to 4th. The one Arabellum, I don't know how I feel about that, but it worked for him, obviously. It gives him some synchro routes, so I suppose that's, you know, it's his one tuner. So, guess it worked out for him. He said, I know that he said that in his interview, he did not go to Herc at all. And I know this is mostly for, like, if he econs a Gale or something. Because Armor Master can be pretty decent against Blackwings. If they don't have a battle trap. But yeah, congrats to him, man. That was super, super sick. Way to go, Mike. Or Michael, if you could buy that. Super cool list. I'm not the personally biggest fan of Glads, but I think this is just proving how diverse Edison really is. In the top 8, you know, we had 2 Blackwing, 1 was hybrid. The Fishborg Frogs, 1 Glad, 2 Amaryllis, a Vayu, and probably my most excited list for this, a Diva Hero. I love Diva Hero. I think it's a super cool deck. So that's our top 4. The rest of these guys, they all just made top 8. So here's the Diva Hero list that we were talking about. He was very adamant on playing Treeborn Frog. And I know he takes inspiration for a true hero here. For the Treeborn Frog and the main deck Devi. He said that he hit frogs for like 4 or 5 or something like that off of deck Devi in game 1. So that was able to let him pull off the victory here and get real close. I do know that he noted that this would typically be like the Solemn slot, but he elected to go for Trap Stun because most of the time he was doing Solemn anyway. And he's got a diverse kind of hit for frogs here, the Mask and 2 rugs. Really trying to prep for that. He did also mention that the Flameveil guy, or Quizis, however you say his name, nobody knows. Legends has it that scholars are still trying to figure it out in the future. But this guy, he said he mostly did for time rules because Konami events do the crappy current rules. They don't do Edison old style rules to where it's 0, 1, 2, 3. They do the current, which is end of phase. So he's just trying to get into battle phase and pierce and get any damage up to kind of get games in time if that comes up. Yeah, great list. I actually have yet to test out the Armageddon Knight Necrogarna package, but Necrogarna is a really, really strong card. Being able to chain him to an attack if they DD Crow it or something is just, it's solid. Really like that card. And it's really just going to let you see your Mally and your Plague kind of every game. It also can force a Prodigy into Graveyard if you need a hero. So, I think it's got good synergy. Only the 1 discard trap, which I like personally. If you don't draw it, it's unfortunate. You know, the ratios, they say if you have 2, you'll draw 1. If you have 1, you'll draw none. But, you know, we're in a game of variance. Doesn't always work out that way. But, congratulations to him, man. Way to go, Austin. Making that top 8. The next deck in top 8 that we have that's not technically placed, it's not like they played out for who's getting 7th or 8th place. This is one of the Amaryllis lists. He said that he wanted to throw in Graveros and have a little bit of back row protection to try and protect her, just to get off like a Dandy dump or a Necro dump. That was kind of his idea with this, is playing Botanical Lion. He's on kind of the standard ratio of the 3 Hidden Armory, Mark, DDR, nothing really to say about that. Miracle Fertilizer is a really good card. I think this is kind of the future of Amaryllis. I think people are realizing it's less about Amaryllis than it's more about Titanial control. And it's just, Titanial's a really big card. It's hard to get over unless you have like Catastor, or you can get to Colossal. Sometimes you have to crash with Goyo, which never feels great. But Titanial's just a really good control card. He's got the 2 sweepers. I'm liking the Aaron in decks that are playing Charge. Aaron's pretty good against things like zombies. So yeah, I like this list. I like the 2 Karma Cuts. He did say he originally had 3, but he swapped out because he just wanted to make room for other stuff. He said that he almost always sides in Burial because people are going to bring in Crows and Kaikus and things like that. So, interesting stuff here. Speaking of interesting, here is the second Blackwing list. This is obviously more of a standard Blackwing. You'll notice he's on the 1 Vayu. He's still on triple Blizzard, triple Bora. And yeah, he's just gonna run the triple draw traps, and he's gonna do 1 Dust Tornado. Interesting that he's only on 1 Oppression in the deck entirely, and that he chose to cut the second Armor Master for Mistworm. So those are just kind of the notable things I see. Everything else is pretty standard. But gotta say, Blackwing is a good deck. One of the most interesting lists here we have is the second Amaryllis top deck. Apparently he did run 42 cards. He actually has a video where he explains kind of his reasonings. Get the pun. His reasoning for some of the card choices that he has. I will link that in the video description below. But he talks about that stuff, and it obviously worked out for him. I don't know about the 42 card thing. That seems a little interesting. But I do really like he's cooking. He's got the Future Fusion. He can send Dasher, and say like Lord Poison, which is pretty cool for Ab-Zero. Or if he wants to go with the Elemental Hero Gaia, he's going to dump the Stratos, and he's typically going to dump a Dandelion. I imagine it might come up if he's got 2 Dandelions used already that he uses Bot Lion, but pretty interesting stuff here. I like 3 Karma Cut. Karma Cut's pretty good. E3, I believe, did a video on this, and he said that he would just drop Bot Lion and Scrap Iron Scarecrow and go from here. Once again, we see it's a charge deck. It's got Aaron in the sideboard, and I really like the 1-for-1 to go with the Consecrated Lights, and he still has Cyber Valley. So could run into issues hitting an Oppression, but other than that, I mean, it looks pretty clean. So that's it, guys. That's your top 8 deck list for Nats in 2024. If you want to see further details and stuff, or maybe some playtests, let me know. All right, guys. Have a good night. Take it easy. Peace.